Hello, my name is Michael Buchel. I'm a math and engineering teacher at Acalanes, and your son or daughter has the grave misfortune of having landed in my class for this year. In all seriousness, I'm thrilled to have them. I wish the circumstances were better and I wasn't recording this from my backyard, but instead we were in class and interacting with one another. But hopefully we'll get to that place sometime soon. A little bit about myself. This is my 15th year teaching at Acalanes High School, 25th year teaching overall, so I am decidedly old, as the kids probably consider. I also coach the girls water polo team at Acalanes. We're kind of a big deal if you hadn't heard, a couple undefeated seasons, so we're proud of that. Unfortunately, that streak is going to extend a little bit longer than otherwise would have been preferred, based on our current circumstances. I am thrilled to have your kids in class, even under these circumstances. Like I said, I have two boys of my own that are at Acalanes, a senior and a sophomore, and they are both in a couple of my classes. So put your minds around that when I'm going to be hosting Zoom sessions for class, they're going to be Zooming in from other rooms in the house or something. We haven't quite figured out what the logistics of that are going to be. But I share that mainly to communicate my empathy about the situation that your children and your households are facing as we make our way through the pandemic. But we'll make the best of it and hopefully make progress in our learning as we go. I want to talk a little bit about kind of my approach to distance learning in general, and then kind of get into the specifics of the individual course that your son or daughter is taking. Number one, I desperately hope we get back into the classroom in some way, shape, or form sooner than later. Until then, my goal is to try to replicate the learning experience that would be happening if we were in school. Obviously, that's a significant challenge, but we're going to do the best that we possibly can. The trickiest piece is how to create that kind of learning community that I try to foster in my classroom. Based on feedback that I got through the spring, I had a model that was reasonably effective that I'm going to build off of with some refinements. But I will be checking in with the students periodically as we go forward to see what's working, what isn't, to try to meet them where they are and try to satisfy the needs that they have as we make our way. When it comes to the delivery of new material, so lessons, notes, that sort of thing, I'm going to be primarily posting pre-recorded videos on YouTube that'll be linked to in Canvas for that purpose. Think of it as kind of a Buchel Academy instead of Khan Academy. They're not the most dynamic in the world, I'll fully confess. It's difficult to replicate what would be happening in class in terms of that format of delivery of new material. But based on the feedback I got in the spring, it was reasonably effective. And the main reason that I do this is I want to try to eliminate the technology or learning environment issues that students might be facing on any given day. I don't want students to miss out on new material or content because their Wi-Fi dropped out for 5 minutes or because they were distracted by what was going on at home. This way, when it comes to the first pass at new material, students will get the opportunity to pause, stop, start, rewind as needed as they complete the notes. So again, the goal is to try to mimic what would be happening in class. There will be notes, shells posted for them to fill in as they watch the videos. But that first pass of the content, I really think the best way to do that is through video. What this will also do is allow me to spend the live Zoom sessions that we'll have during the week trying to make it as interactive as possible for both formal and informal exchanges with students. So I'm going to deploy a variety of approaches during that time. There will be times where I'll try to reinforce a specific example or two of something that was in the lesson video that they'll have watched in advance of class. I might have a warm-up activity that'll be a review or a refresher to kind of get a sense of where the students are at. I'm going to have the opportunity for students to ask questions about particular skills or homework problems that they worked on between class periods. I want these sessions to be as interactive as possible, and for students to have a base of knowledge that they'll have hopefully acquired via those pre-recorded lessons. I also want to use the live Zoom sessions for test review or test prep to, again, try to not have it be the first pass at information that they're acquiring, knowledge that they're acquiring, but instead have it be a review, reinforcement, so it's not so critical if there's some sort of compromising circumstance that occurs during those live sessions. Now, the engineering course, the best way that I can describe it is to think of it as you've been accepted to the School of Engineering, but you don't know what branch you want to study. So my goal is to try to, in the first quarter, try to get students to kind of understand the broad parameters of what engineering means. A lot of them have heard of engineering, but they don't know exactly what exactly that entails. And then kind of the middle part of the course is a survey course where we go through various branches of engineering and try to share some problems or typical topics that are related to that field. So not exclusively, but in that list of engineering fields that we'll study, chemical engineering, we'll take a look at distillation, what happens to oil as it enters an oil refinery. Civil engineering, we have a couple different things we look at. We analyze simple trusses, we look at water storage and reservoir capacity, some basic principles of soil for foundational purposes. We look at materials engineering, so the stress and strain curves of various materials. Electrical engineering, we don't get too deep into that, but we look at some more complicated circuits than perhaps they've seen in a physics class. Mechanical engineering, we take a look at some heat transfer, thermodynamics, fluid dynamics, gear ratios, and bioengineering, which was my specialty. I studied that in college, although I never practiced as an engineer. We take a look at what happens to the human body when it's subjected to the type of stresses and impacts of a car accident. The course is divided up into two primary grading areas. There's kind of the homework and coursework and labs. The labs I generally backload to the back half of the year just because I want to get through the academic stuff while the seniors are still engaged, if you will. And so I'm going to try to push those back as much as possible so that give us the best chance of being in school to be able to perform those activities. But homework, we're usually going to have about 3 assignments per week. And I post the solutions along with the homework so that the students can self-check. Typically in class, I'll lecture for a little bit, and then the remaining part of the period is for the students to work through the problem sets together. Obviously, that's a little bit tricky dynamic to try to recreate via Zoom, but my goal is going to be to, through breakout rooms and other elements of Zoom, to try to recreate that culture and that model as best as I can. I really believe that the students working together and talking through the types of problems that we perform in class is the best approach to getting them to learn the material. Work will be submitted electronically, so instead of me coming around to check the homework in class, they'll submit it in a PDF format, and I outline that in a course document that the students received on Monday of this week. The goal is that those live Zoom sessions then will be able to go through some of the problems that were tricky or answer questions about it, that sort of thing. And then the other component of the course are the exams. And so with each unit, we take an exam. I've wrestled with how to approach exams during the distance learning period. And the reality is I'm just going to give time tests during the class period that we have allotted to us during the period 2 schedule during the week. And my expectation is that the students will complete those on pencil and paper, take a picture of it, and submit it for me to grade and then provide feedback having reviewed it. The last thing I want to touch on, which is kind of a thread through the quizzes and tests and other types of assessments that the students will be taking, is regarding academic honesty. Every teacher is wrestling with this issue when it comes to trying to figure out how to best assess student knowledge and maintain the integrity to the course. But as I've tried to communicate, I want to try to maintain as close a connection to what our in-person schooling would be like. And so I just don't think that suddenly moving to all multiple choice, timed release exams that are totally divorced from what students would experience in my class under normal circumstances would be very fair. But with this means that I have a little bit less control over the circumstances under which students are taking these exams, these assessments. And so I'm going to be appealing to their better angels and their maturity. And I appreciate any and all support that I can get from you as their parents to try to encourage them that the most important thing is that they learn the material and are as close to whole as possible when we get back to regular school, whether that's later this year or next year, and that they're not just obsessing over crowdsourcing or internet sleuthing for answers of the assessments that we're taking. My goal, it's hard for me to know what they know and what they don't know if everyone's getting 100% of everything because they've been using outside materials or notes or anything that wasn't allowed for a given assessment. So I really appreciate your help on that front as we go forward. So with that, I'll sign off. Thank you for watching. I apologize for the impersonal nature of this forum, but it is what it is under the circumstances. I also want to express my deep gratitude for your contributions to LPI and to the Parents Club. We as teachers at Acalanes are extremely well supported thanks to your generosity. And we could not get through this without you. Again, we'll make it to the other side here. So please stay healthy and stay safe. And if you have any questions about anything, please feel free to email me either through the Canvas portal or directly to my school email, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Take care.